The show begins with a figure emerging from a mysterious box and entering an abandoned building, holding a light. The scene then quickly shifts to Jason DeSen, a physicist and college professor, who wakes up to his alarm next to his wife, Daniela. He appears to have a perfect life with his family. He helps his son, Charlie, with trigonometry, and when Charlie asks if he can drive, Daniela is hesitant but leaves the decision to Jason. Jason allows Charlie to drive, and although Charlie runs a red light on the way to school, Jason remains calm and supportive. At a stoplight, Jason suggests going on a hike after school, but Charlie has other plans with his friend Brooke. During their conversation, Jason receives a call from his old friend, Ryan Holder, who announces that he has won the prestigious Pavio Award. Ryan claims that Jason should have been the recipient, and invites him to celebrate that evening before quickly hanging up. After dropping Charlie off at school, Jason heads to his job at Lakemont College. As a professor, he lectures his students on quantum superposition and Schrödinger's cat, but his students appear uninterested. Meanwhile, Daniela is at an art gallery, chatting and joking with her friend Blair. They also discuss their families during their time together. Next, a mysterious figure enters a storage unit filled with cash, cell phones, and various unknown devices. It is revealed that the person is Jason, secretly observing and taking notes on his family's daily activities. Back at home, the DeSen family is enjoying their time together. Meanwhile, Ryan keeps sending messages to Jason, asking where he is. Daniela reads the messages and, although Jason is reluctant to join the celebration, she encourages him to go. She points out that Ryan has chosen a location close to their home, making it easier for him to attend. Jason leaves home and heads to a nearby bar where he meets up with Ryan. Jason congratulates Ryan on his recent award. After a brief chat, Ryan orders his favorite drink and introduces Jason to some of his friends. The two of them then sit in a corner booth to reminisce about old times. During their conversation, Ryan reveals that he wants Jason to join his new neurotech company. Jason is intrigued by the offer until Ryan mentions that the company is based in San Francisco. Jason declines the offer, explaining that his family's life is rooted in Chicago. Before Jason leaves the bar, Ryan suggests that he should discuss the opportunity with Daniela to get her opinion. As Jason exits the bar, he receives a call from Daniela but chooses to ignore it. As Jason walks down the street, he narrowly avoids being hit by a cab. Continuing towards home, someone asks him for $1. Just as he is about to give it, a masked man with a gun appears, demanding Jason's phone and ordering him to get into a car. The masked man threatens to kill Jason and leave him bleeding if he does not comply. He seems to know Jason personally, using his name and demanding him to drive. When Jason tries to ask who he is, the masked man threatens him with the gun and tells him to be quiet. The masked man also knows the passcode to Jason's phone and questions him about Ryan. Jason explains that Ryan had offered him a job at his new company, but he has not decided yet. When they get to a warehouse, the man in the mask removes Jason's ring and orders him to take off all his clothes. He then instructs Jason to proceed farther inside the warehouse, while holding a flashlight. When Jason tries to resist, the masked man attacks him, pushing him down a flight of stairs and injecting him with an unknown substance. The man instructs Jason to open a bag on the floor, and insists that he get dressed quickly, warning him that he will soon lose consciousness. As Jason starts to regain partial consciousness, the masked man opens a box and asks if Jason is satisfied with his life, or if he has ever wondered about other possibilities. He tells Jason that he will be scared but that he can have everything he has missed. The man apologizes, saying he is doing this for both of them. As Jason fades in and out of consciousness, he asks the man who he is, but the man replies that Jason would not believe him if he told him. When Jason next wakes up, he finds himself surrounded by doctors. He loses consciousness again, and when he wakes up a third time, he is in a bedroom, noticing scars all over his body. He tries to leave but finds himself locked in. Soon, a lab psychiatrist named Amanda Lucas, whom Jason does not recognize, approaches him. Amanda informs Jason that he has been released from quarantine and leads him to a room where he meets Leighton Vance, introduced as the CEO of a company. Jason is also introduced as the chief science officer and co-founder of the same company. Amanda informs Jason that he has been missing for 14 months and 10 days. Jason recalls that the last thing he remembers is being at a bar with Ryan. He expresses confusion, saying he does not recognize anyone. As Amanda leads him back to his room, Jason tries to escape. He manages to get outside the building and runs through the forest. He then takes a cab to his home. When Jason arrives, he finds Amanda inside his house. Meanwhile, the man who kidnapped Jason enters real Jason's home, revealing himself to be an alternate version of Jason. This other version had kidnapped Jason and taken over his life. He walks into the kitchen where Daniela is standing at the sink. Daniela is upset about Jason coming home late and not answering his phone. Jason tells her about Ryan's job offer and asks if she remembers what he said years ago when they decided to be together. Daniela recalls that he had said he would prefer memories of her over those of a cold, sterile lab, and she forgives him. Back with the real Jason, he asks Amanda how she got into his house, and she replies that they live together. Jason calls out for Daniela and Charlie but cannot find them. He goes into what he believes is his son's room and finds an office with a Pavia Award plaque bearing his name. Jason tries to call Daniela but reaches the wrong number. Amanda then asks who Daniela is, and Jason explains she is his wife. Continuing his search through the house, Amanda tells Jason that he does not have a wife. Jason, distressed, runs out the back of the house and into the alley. Meanwhile, the imposter Jason is with Daniela in the bedroom. As they kiss, Daniela notices a bandaged cut on his arm. When she inquires about it, he tells her that she would not believe the truth if he told her. Jason flees from the home and heads to the bar where he met Ryan. But the bartender does not recognize him, and the fancy whiskey bottle Ryan bought is still on the shelf. The bartender eventually kicks Jason out for persistently claiming they know each other. Believing something is wrong with him, Jason decides to go to the Meanwhile, the imposter Jason spends the morning with Daniela, trying to adjust to the new home, but struggles to find coffee in the kitchen. At the Jason is told that his CT scan results are clear, but the nurse informs him that a psychoactive compound was found in his system, which was likely injected by the imposter earlier. She also reveals that there is no record of anyone named Daniela Dessen. Jason continues to investigate, and discovers that Daniela never married. He then locates her address and sneaks out of the hospital. The imposter arrives at Lakemont College to deliver his first lecture in Jason's place. Noticing that none of the students are paying attention, he tells them that while he does not expect them to know everything, he does expect them to be engaged and attentive. Amanda tries to locate Jason by calling around. Leighton informs her that they found out Jason was at the hospital, but he left before they could reach him. Meanwhile, Jason arrives at Daniela's art show, where he is given an invitation and asked to choose a card. He selects a door and walks into the exhibit, where he is startled to see paintings of himself on the walls. When he sees Daniela, he hugs her and inquires about Charlie, but she has no idea who Charlie is. Ryan is also at the show, and they share an awkward conversation at the bar. Ryan asks Jason about a compound he developed for Velocity, the company co-founded by the imposter Jason. But Jason is confused and does not know what Ryan is referring to. After the event, Daniela asks Jason where he has been all this time, and in response, Jason poses a hypothetical question. His question mirrors his own situation, and he inadvertently reveals to Daniela and Ryan that he is referring to himself. Jason asks Daniela about how he inspired her show. She explains that he once talked to her about choices and alternate worlds, mentioning that he might never see her again. Jason tries to explain his situation, but both Ryan and Daniela are skeptical. So, Ryan decides to leave and asks Daniela if she wants Jason to go as well, but she refuses. Daniela prepares a bed for Jason. He shares his hospital experience, insisting he does not need psychiatric help but just answers. Daniela tells him to get some rest and goes upstairs, while Jason makes a makeshift wedding ring out of a piece of twine. Meanwhile, in the other world, Daniela urges Charlie to tell Brooke that he likes her, but Jason advises him to keep his feelings to himself for now. That evening, he swaps his brushes with Daniela's, unsure which one is his. The following day, he calls Ryan, firmly declining the job offer. Ryan apologizes for overstepping and for contacting Daniela. Subsequently, Amanda, who is exercising, receives a call from Jason, who says he is about to enter a mental hospital. Amanda leaves to find him. After she departs, Jason enters the house with Daniela. Inside, Jason explains how everything in their house is different from what he remembers. He shows Daniela a picture of a waterfall, saying that in his real home, he, Daniela, and Charlie are also in the photo. As they discuss their contrasting pasts, Daniela becomes frustrated. She reveals that she was pregnant but had an abortion because Jason was not ready. After Jason gathers some things from the room, they quickly leave the house. Outside, Jason apologizes, and Daniela acknowledges their different truths but still believes him. Briefly switching to the other world, the imposter returns to Jason's storage unit to pack away his gun and ampoules. Back to Jason, he examines the imposter's old notes and realizes that the imposter used a large version of a box to travel across the multiverse. Later, as Jason is in bed, Daniela asks him to tell her about their relationship in his world. He shares the story of their past and how they ended up in this situation. As they become intimate, the moment is interrupted by the doorbell. They go upstairs and find Dawn, a worker from Velocity, who breaks down the door. Dawn then shoots Daniela between the eyes, tases Jason, and takes him away. In the next scene, Amanda receives a call from Leighton, who updates her on the incident at Daniela's house. Jason finds himself in a room with Leighton, who takes responsibility for what happened to Daniela. When Jason asks if Leighton sent Dawn to Daniela's apartment, Leighton does not answer and instead claims he is trying to help Jason remember his brilliance. Meanwhile, the imposter is having dinner with Daniela and checks the surveillance footage of the box before she returns to the table. When one of Daniela's friends approaches, Jason doesn't recognize her or understand their conversation. Later, Detective Mason visits Velocity Lab to question Leighton. She inquires about the company's origins, its products, and a missing employee named Blair. When she mentions that Jason visited the hospital, Leighton pretends to be surprised and asks if Jason is okay. Mason also notes that she knows Jason, and Amanda had a past relationship, and requests to speak with Amanda. Amanda soon storms into the security room, angry at Leighton for what happened to Daniela, and for making her lie to the police. She warns Leighton that she had previously advised against hiring Dawn due to her unstable mental state. Leighton then insists on understanding how Jason found his way back. Jason appears on the monitor, saying he is ready for their help in regaining his memories. Amanda and Leighton enter with security guards. Leighton asks Jason why he ran away the first night he emerged from the box. Jason replies that he was afraid. Jason asks what could be so important that it would justify killing someone. Leighton responds that anyone working for Velocity would gladly sacrifice their life for Jason's work. Jason is acting like the person they believe him to be. When he asks about the box, Leighton shows it to him. Leighton explains that the breakthrough for the box was a layer of adaptive shielding that blocks anything from getting through it. Jason then enters the box, and Amanda notes that he is the only person to go in and return. Jason is impressed by the work his counterpart did on the box. Leighton then shows him a recording from 14 months ago, capturing the moment Jason first entered the box, and Amanda's attempt to stop him. The footage reveals that lab techs found Jason gone minutes later. Back at his room, Jason reviews his counterpart's notes and asks Amanda about her role. She explains that she trains the box pilots. Jason then inquires about the day he disappeared. Amanda recounts that he visited Daniela the night before. Jason expresses that he might not be who everyone believes him to be, prompting Amanda to leave the room in concern. Meanwhile, the imposter takes Charlie to buy a new skateboard and researches the guests for an upcoming party. At the dinner party hosted by the imposter and Daniela, he is chatting with guests when Ryan approaches him. Ryan mentions that Daniela invited him, and he and Jason catch up in the kitchen. Ryan apologizes again for discussing the job with Daniela, but he forgives him and says things are fine between them. Back at Velocity, Leighton asks if reviewing old files is sparking any memories for Jason, but Jason says it is not. Leighton starts to suspect that this is not the real Jason, and demands the truth. Dawn then brings Ryan in for questioning. The interrogation ends abruptly when Jason leaps across the table and attacks Leighton before Dawn intervenes. Dawn then severely injures Jason and prepares to slit his throat, but Leighton arrives and stops her. Leighton is frustrated and expressing his desire to use the box to solve major issues like cancer and world hunger. Jason insists he does not know how to operate the box, leading Leighton to leave the room. Jason is then brought back to a room with Ryan, who reveals that he asked him to develop a drug to alter the prefrontal cortex, putting certain areas to sleep. The purpose of the drug was to help the brain understand superposition and access other worlds. Soon after, Amanda arrives and tells Jason they must leave immediately, revealing that Ryan is dead. Jason asks why Amanda is helping him, and she explains she cannot undo her past actions at Velocity. They take the elevator, and when they spot Leighton, Jason punches him and they quickly close the door. They find that Amanda's clearance has been frozen, preventing them from accessing the room with the box. However, Jason manages to get them inside with his identity. They narrowly escape into the box, while the closing door catches Dawn's finger. With only 3 minutes before the door reopens, Jason tries to keep Amanda from coming with him, but she insists she has no other choice. They both inject themselves with Ryan's drug, and the box activates. Back at Daniela's, Daniela puts on music after the dinner party and asks the imposter to dance. Daniela asks why he has been acting so differently lately. He explains that his strange behavior started after a near accident on his way home from Ryan's celebration, which made him rethink his life. Later, he also finds a certificate for Maximilian de Sen, Inside the box at Velocity Labs, Jason and Amanda wake up to the sound of the 3-minute timer and find themselves in an endless corridor. They wander aimlessly, trying to understand how the box works and what they are looking at. Meanwhile, at the lab, when the box opens, Leighton grabs a pack and enters the box. After passing the 220th door, Jason and Amanda open one and find themselves in an alternate world covered in ash. They step outside and see the entire world as a desolate wasteland. As a building collapses nearby, they quickly return to the box just in time. They realize the world inside the box can change, and unsure how to operate it, they take another dose of the drug and re-enter the corridor. In the other world, Daniela approaches the small box holding the ashes of their deceased son, Max. Meanwhile, Charlie, now 16, drives with the imposter in the passenger seat and is told to run a yellow light. Charlie prefers a low-key birthday celebration. Meanwhile, Leighton searches the corridor, calling out for Jason and Amanda, but they are nowhere to be found. The imposter disrupts Jason's physics class at Lakemont College, shattering a bottle when students refuse to take a pop quiz without paper. He quits after being questioned about the incident. In the corridor, Amanda and Jason jump through various realities. Amanda panics in a world without atmosphere, but Jason persuades her to keep going as they will have infinite possibilities. Later, they find themselves in Velocity Lab and encounter hostile versions of themselves being killed by Leighton. They rush back to the box and begin opening doors randomly. They find themselves in a frozen land, unable to locate the box. Jason sets up shelter for himself and Amanda in an abandoned house, starting a fire to keep them warm after Amanda loses consciousness from the cold. The imposter visits Leighton Vance, who has not taken over Velocity from his family. They share a drink and after a brief conversation, the imposter invites him to see something. He takes Leighton to the warehouse where the box is located and gives him a psychoactive drug. Both of them take a dose and enter the box. The imposter shuts the door, and Leighton experiences the corridor for the first time. Jason explains that his thoughts control the box and tells Leighton to clear his mind while he opens a door. In the frozen world, as the snowstorm stops, Jason ventures outside, spotting a distant Chicago covered in ice. Inside the house, Jason breaks down furniture to fuel the fire while Amanda warms up. As Jason examines a family photo left behind, he thinks of his own family. Amanda eventually recovers and confesses that she panicked and lost control of the situation. She apologizes and shares a childhood story, revealing she had imagined being trapped in a snowstorm before they entered this world. They then realize their thoughts influence which universe the box takes them to. Determined, they set out to find the buried box. Despite their GPS failing, they continue their search using a compass and magnetic field as their guides. Jason and Amanda finally return to the box, and while inside he remembers that it's Charlie's 16th birthday. Back at Daniela's home, she reviews photos of little Max and goes through some of his belongings. Later, Daniela asks Charlie if he is ready to leave or if he wants to wait for Jason. Charlie says to go ahead without him. Daniela and Charlie light a candle at Max's tree. Daniela and Jason each share the story of Max's birth with Charlie and Amanda respectively, revealing that Max was Charlie's twin brother. Jason explains how he and Daniela planted a tree with some of Max's ashes in the backyard and lit a candle for him on his birthday. Daniela says that Max was born first, and Max and Charlie were always close. Meanwhile, Jason tells Amanda about Max's death, becoming emotional as he reflects on missing the time he spent with Daniela and Charlie at Max's tree. Alternatively, the imposter and Leighton return to their world, where the imposter reveals his true identity. He explains that Leighton was a close friend and colleague in his own world, which is why he trusts this version of Leighton with his most important secret. Leighton, who longs for a fresh start, sees this opportunity as a perfect match for his needs and agrees to invest. Inside the box, Jason asks if his counterpart was happy in his life. Amanda replies that he was not, as all he did was work, though he was the most driven person she had ever known. She believes the imposter justified the kidnapping by convincing himself he was offering Jason a chance at a new life, a path he had not taken. Jason realizes that the imposter's actions were driven by his desire to be with Daniela and Charlie. At home, Daniela and Charlie are making spaghetti and meatballs when the imposter arrives. Charlie tells him he missed the time at the tree, and the imposter apologizes, presenting him with a small gift. Charlie opens the box to find a car key and learns the car is parked outside. Excited, he rushes out, leaving Daniela puzzled about the sudden purchase of a car and his decision to quit his job without discussing it with her. Charlie hugs both of them and asks if they can go for a ride. The imposter reassures Daniela that they do not need to worry about money anymore, as a new investor has come on board to support his project from before Charlie was born. In the corridor, the bruised and bloodied Leighton opens a door and glimpses the snowy world where Jason and Amanda had been earlier. He closes the door and keeps walking through the endless corridor. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave 1,000 likes or 100 comments if you'd like us to continue part 2. Thank you.